Okay, in this first part of the video I'll cover the Blood Brides, which are basically an upgrade to witches. So I'll quickly run over their stats. They are Weapon Skill 4, Ballistic Skill 4, Strength 3, Toughness 3, 1 wound, Initiative 6, 2 attacks, so they've got 1 extra attack compared to a normal witch. They're Leadership 9, so they've got 1 extra leadership compared to a normal witch, and a Save of 6 plus. Types infantry. They come with witch suit, which is a 6 plus save, splinter pistol, which is as standard, combat weapon, and plasma grenades. Special rules: we've got combat drugs, fleet, night vision, and power from pain. They are 50 points for a unit of 5 witches, but obviously, if you take in Blood Brides, they're 3 points each. So you'll be looking at 65 points for at least a unit of 5. It'll be 10 points for a Siren, which is basically the sergeant of the Blood Brides. She has got exactly the same stats, apart from she has 3 attacks instead of 2. She's got exactly the same upgrades as the normal witches, so she can take weapons from the melee weapon list, so a power weapon or an agonizer. She can change her splinter pistol out for a blast pistol for 15 points. I wouldn't really bother doing that. Blood Brides are mainly for combat, really. You want to be charging them in rather than spending your points on a shooting weapon if you're going to take them. If you are going to take them, I'd probably recommend an agonizer. It's pricey at 25 points, but you're wounding everything on 4s, and it's a AP3, so it's quite a handy thing to take. She can take haywire grenades or a phantasm grenade launcher. Haywire grenades every day of the week, 5 points. It's almost a definite if you're going to take any form of witch, whether it be a normal witch or a Blood Brides or whatever. If you take a unit of witches, 1 witch can have witch cult weapons. I've covered the witch cult weapons in a previous video. They're okay, they're a bit quirky, but if you're going for like a witch themed list, they're quite cool, but competitive wise, witches kind of lost their edge when they lost the ability for the entire squad to have haywire grenades. If this squad is 10 models or more, you can have up to 3 lots of witch cult weapons. The unit can be in a raider or a venom as a dedicated transport. I'm not really going to go into Blood Brides in a massive amount of detail. I mean, I've never took them. I've never seen anyone take them as an elite choice. You've got better options. Taking Incubi, Mandrakes nowadays, Racks, Grotesques. They just seem to work better as witches. Cheaper option. If anyone's had a great deal of success with them, feel free to comment. Always helps of helping people with the Blood Brides. Really, I mean, if you're going to take an upgrade for one of the troop choices, turn them into elites, you're really looking at the Carbolite Warriors, making them Trueborn really for the extra shooting power. Witches themselves are just as competent really as Blood Brides. They're just -1 attack. So yeah, that's really all I'm going to say about Blood Brides. Really, I feel as though I've neglected them a little bit, but it's something I've never taken. I don't think I've seen anyone take them in battle reports and stuff. So I shall leave them at that, and we'll move quickly on to Racks. Racks took a bit of a hit. They used to be able to take them as a troop choice. Now they are solely elite. The Rack stats are Weapon Skill 4, Ballistic Skill 4, Strength 3, Toughness 4, which is really handy having a Dark Eldar unit. It's actually Toughness 4. 1 wound, Initiative 4, 1 attack, Leadership 8, 6 plus save. Classed as infantry type. They've war gear wise, we've got gnarled skin, which gives in basically their 6 plus save, and they have rack tools, which basically gives them a poisoned 4+ melee weapon. We've got 2 rack tools, so they've basically got 2 lots of melee weapons. So they get 2 attacks basic, which is quite nice. Rules wise, they start off with feel no pain, so straight off the bat they've got feel no pain. They've not got to worry about turns going on to get that feel no pain 5 up, so that's quite nice. Night vision, like all Dark Eldar, and power from pain. They're 50 points for 5 models, so 10 models each, 10 points each basically. I don't think that's too bad points cost wise. What else we got here? They may include up to 5 initial racks at 10 points each, so you can have max a squad out at 10 models for 100 points. That's not bad. For every 5 models in the unit, 1 rack may replace a 1 rack tool with the following weapon: liquefy gun. I really do like the liquefy gun. It's 15 points. It's strength 3. I believe. I'll just quickly double check. Yeah, liquefy gun. It's strength 3, but its AP is D6, assault 1, template. It's really good because that assault D6 you can be, killing terminators on 5s if you roll that, 2, 1 or 2 AP 1 or 2. But 3 times out of 10 you won't be rolling that. It just goes on, depends on what you roll on the dice really. It can be really good, it can be really bad, but it's something that's considered. You must seriously consider, because if you fight Marines, you've got a half 50% chance of rolling that 1, 2 or 3 for AP for killing Marines outright. So I do quite like the liquefy gun. It is 15 points, so if you've got points to spare, it's quite a good upgrade to take really. The other gun is the ossifactor. It's something I've never used. It's range 24, strength 1, AP 2. It's assault 1. It's fleshbane. So fleshbane's what always wounds on 2s. And calphatic spears. I think that means it can basically, if it actually kills the person that you're shooting at, they basically explode, I believe, into little bits, and they damage people around them. I will just double check if I can find it. Yeah, if a non-vehicle model is removed as a casualty due to an unsafe wound caused by this weapon, the model's unit immediately suffers D6 hits. These hits are randomly allocated and ignores cover save special rule. So that's not too bad. You can get up to 6, or as less as 1, so it's not too bad. The strength of these hits are equal to the toughness characteristic of the model removed as a casualty. So strength 3. If the model is toughness 3, it's going to be strength 3. If the model is toughness 4, it's going to be strength 4. It's not too bad. It'll be, it's AP 2, so that's not too bad. Let's just double check. And have the ignore cover special rule. So I assume it will be the strength of the whatever model's toughness you've just killed. So you'll be hitting Marine on 3s, wounding him on 2s because of fleshbane. Fleshbane wound on 2s or reroll to wound. Either way, it's still quite handy to do. I think it is actually wound on 2s. And then if you kill that model, because it's AP2, so you will kill it, you roll a d6 and you get that many extra hits against that unit at strength 4, because the Marine's toughness is 4. So that's not too bad actually. 15 points. Yeah, I suppose if you take in foot slogging racks, that's not such a bad option to take really. for every 5 models. So you could take 2. Yeah, you could take 2 of the Ossifactor rifles. So that's not too bad, really. That's also 15 points. So it depends what you want your ranks to do, really. They can take a transport, raiders or venoms. So I suppose if you want to sit back on near objectives or mid table and sit and shoot stuff, that Ossifactor gun could be quite handy. Whereas if you want to get up close and use your poisoned melee weapons, which is kind of the Rex thing, really, I'd probably recommend a liquefy gun. So either way, it's not too bad. One model may be upgraded to a Acathist, which is basically exactly the same stat line as the Rack, apart from it has 2 attacks instead of 1, and it is leadership 9 instead of leadership 8. The Acathist may take items from the Weapons of Torment or Tools of Torment list. From what I remember, some of these aren't too bad. Weapons of Torment, I think, I think they're like got specific weapons they can use. So Venom Blade, that's just Acthists only, and the Electro Whip, basically. They're not too bad, really, these weapons. Let's just have a quick look. See, I think the Venom Blade is basically wound poison 2+. Let's just double check here. Venom Blade, yeah. Outstrength as user, AP dash, melee, poison 2+. So yeah, you basically win everything on 2+, which isn't too bad. But you'll be looking at, how many points was that? Venom Blade, 10 points. That's not too bad. So if you charge them into like monstrous creatures, things like that, that's pretty handy, really. The Whip, on the other hand, is strength as user. It's AP3, so it's same as the Agonizer, basically. It's melee, concussive, and it's poison 5+. So it's not quite as good as the Agonizer because it's poison 5+, but it's concussive, so you can be making your opponent initiative 1. So that's not too bad, really. Tools of Torment. You've got a Stinger pistol, Helix rifle, or a liquefy gun. I've covered the liquefy gun already. The Stinger pistol. Let's have a look at that. Range 12, strength 1, AP 5, pistol, poison 2+. So it's basically a wound everything on the 2+ pistol, AP 5. That's not too bad. To be fair, I won't bother with that one, really. Let's have a look at the Hex rifle. The Hex rifle is range 36, strength X, AP 4. It is assault 1, arcane payload, sniper. So I assume because it's sniper, you'll be wounding everything on 4s anyway. Any precise shot made with this weapon has the instant death special rule. So yeah, that's not too bad. So your precise shots on like sergeants of squads and things like that, you'll be killing them outright, which isn't too bad. But it is only AP 4, which is possibly its only letdown. I mean, things like Imperial Guard, normal Tau, so not like the battle suits or anything like that, like Ethereal and stuff. You can kiss the Ethereal goodbye, basically. Orcs, depending on what loadout they've got. But yeah, against Marines and other Eldar stuff, it won't be as effective. My racks, I run my racks as 2 squads of 5 in Venoms with a liquefier in both squads. I use the formation from their supplement that came out, the homunculus supplement. I won't go into the formation that is. I'll do the formations from them in a video later on in the future. But yeah, they seem to work quite well in squads of 5. Basically, running around the battlefield, causing havoc. Yeah, I really like them. Um, I didn't use the Games Workshop box at the standard rack models. Um, if people really want to know how I converted them, just drop me a message or just leave a comment, and I will go into how I converted them, if people are interested. And then we'll go on to finally the grotesques. The grotesques are one of my favourite units in the elite slots. Incubi are one of my other favourites, and grotesques are definitely one of my other favourite. Um, okay, so I'll start with the grotesque stat line. So we've got weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 1, strength 5, toughness 5. So they're the strongest and toughest unit, not monster, but the unit in their army. Wounds 3, initiative 4, 3 attacks, leadership 3, which isn't particularly great, but there's ways around that. And they have a 6+ save. They are infantry. War gear wise, we've got an old skin, so that's a 6+ save. They have a close combat weapon and a flesh gauntlet. I will quickly let you know what a flesh gauntlet is. A flesh gauntlet is a strength as user, so they are strength 5, which is nice. They're melee, so they're basically classed as 2 melee weapons, because they've got a close combat weapon and a flesh gauntlet, which is a melee weapon. So they've actually got +1 attack on the profile if they keep this weapon loadout. They've got lethal dose. Now, lethal dose is any to wound roll of a 6 inflicted by this weapon has an instant death special rule. That is really, really good. Being strength 5, you're going to be hitting most of the time with weapon skill 4. On average, you'll be forced to hit. But with your strength of 5, you're going to be wounded the majority of the time. And the other thing with the weapon as well is it's poison 4+. So, it doesn't really matter if anything's a lot tougher than you. So let's say Wraith Knight, toughness 8, you're wounded it on 6s, but them 6s are instant death. And if it fails just one of them 3+ saves, poof, bye bye Wraith Knight. I've seen these work really well in squads of 3, in squads of 5, and I've seen them be very devastated in squads of 9. They just get horrendous when they're paired up with like Codex Eldar. You put a Farseer in the unit, and if that Farseer rolls invisibility, the grotesque unit is just a Death Star. It just appears on the battlefield and just destroys whatever it wants to. It just runs around and pretty much does whatever it wants. Special rules wise, they are bulky, obviously, because they are Terminator base size models. They have feel no pain, so they start off with feel no pain, which is really handy. Night vision, power from pain, as typical Dark Outlaw stuff, but they also have rampage. I've covered rampage on with the Incubi Clavex. I'll quickly go over it here. How it works is if you have less models than your opponent in a combat, so if you have 3 grotesques and your opponent has 4 models, he outnumbers you. Rampage means that you gain D3 extra attacks per model with that rule. So in the Incubi squad, it's only the Clavex that has it. In the grotesques, every model has rampage. So it's just horrendous. I've seen 5 grotesques charge into a unit of what was it? I think it was a unit of orcs, about 20 orcs, and they just literally just butchered the entire unit because of how many attacks they've got. I mean, let's just quickly add it up here. So grotesques, they've got 3 attacks. They've got a close combat weapon and flesh gauntlet, which is 2 close combat weapons, which confers 4 attacks. They have 5 attacks if they charge, so they're on 5 attacks, and then they get an extra D3 attacks if they're outnumbered. Now you're looking at a minimum of 6 attacks each, maximum of 8 attacks each. It's just absolutely ridiculous how much damage they can do. The unit composition is 3 grotesques, and they come in at 105 points for 3 models. you can include up to 7 additional grotesques for 35 points each, which is really handy. Any of the models may replace a close combat weapon for a liquefier gun. Now they replace a close combat weapon, so they still get to keep the flesh gauntlet, so they still have the uber rule for instant death and poison and all that. So they can have the liquefier gun for 15 points. Depending on what you're doing with them, I think it can be quite handy to take a liquefier gun if you're gonna webway bomb them. Maybe not so much with a liquefier gun, because as soon as you turn up in that webway, they're basically all deep striking, so they're all going to be touching each other. So your shooting phase will be running to disperse them, move them about a bit. If they're disembarking from a vehicle, which they can take a raider as a dedicated transport, a liquefier gun could be handy in that shooting phase. If you disembark right up next to them, use your liquefier gun, charge in and mop up whatever's left. One model in the unit may be upgraded to an aberration. Aberration is basically a grotesque, but it has +1 attack, so it has 4 attacks, not 3, and it is leadership 4 instead of leadership 3. 10 points. It's something that can challenge, whatever. So he's 4 attacks. If he doesn't take any upgrades, he's going to be 5 attacks for 2 close combat weapons, 6 attacks for charging, and then an extra D3 attacks on top if he's outnumbered. So he's going to be 7 attacks minimal. 9 attacks maximum. It's just ridiculous the amount of attacks that these guys can get, really. The aberration can take weapons of torture. Now I had a look at these the other day, and I didn't think that they were. I didn't really think they were amazing. Mind phase gauntlets. I think I've gone over these in previous videos. Flesh gauntlets again in a previous video. Things like this. They come with flesh gauntlet as standard, so they don't. Well, obviously there's no point taking a flesh gauntlet. Scissorhand is possibly the only thing I would recommend. The Venom Blade, they can't take Venom Blade, they can't take Electro Agonizer. Well, having an AP3, aberration, which might be quite nice. The only downside is that would make it an extra 25 points for the Agonizer. Let's just have a quick look at Scissorhands. I think Scissorhands just basically gives them rending. Where are we? Scissorhands. Strength is using melee. Poison 4+, so they still get the poison 4+, but it gives them rending. So they've got that possibility of munching vehicles as well. So what would it be for vehicles? Strength 5. Plus your D6, so 11 plus D3. So you could glance a Land Raider, but that'd be the only model that'd be able to do it, unless you gain Furious Charge, which will be the 4th turn if you're stacking up your power from pain. But your grotesques are infantry killers. They are monstrous creature killers. They aren't suited for killing tanks. You want to be taking your Ravagers, your Blasterborn, your Void Raven bombers, your anything with a Dark Lance. Basically, you want to be using them for killing vehicles. You want to be using your grotesques for charging in and butchering whatever unit you want. Don't even be afraid of Thunderhammer, Storm Shield, Terminators. Fair enough that they're going to get their 2+ armor save. There's nothing you can stop about their 2+ armor save, but your weight of attacks is just going to absolutely destroy that unit. Forcing your opponent to roll dice is the best thing to combat 2+ armor saves. I've played quite a few 40k games in my time now. Like I said in my introduction video, I've been playing Games Workshop games for 21 years now. It's not about putting your AP2 weapons against things that are a 2-up save. Yeah, in an ideal world that would work great, but forcing your opponent to roll them dice, at the end of the day, it is a dice roll. It's a chance roll. They've got that chance of rolling a 1, and it does happen. The amount of times I've taken one save on my Archon with a shadow field, and he just balls it up on the first save. It's like, oh, well, that was naff. It is a case of getting your opponent to roll them dice. How I run my grotesques is I usually take. I've got 9 made, 9 all painted. If people want to know how I've done them, by all means, send me a message or ask in the comments. I'll reply. But you should be able. They're quite obvious, but basically how I've done them really. But how I run mine is I've got 9 made up. I will usually use about 7 or 8 in a game, in a blob, with an Archon, with a web bay portal, with an aberration in the unit. The reason why I will recommend always putting always put an independent character in that unit is so they have that leadership. An aberration is leadership 4. If for whatever reason they have to take leadership, and leadership 4, they're gonna basically fluff it up. Whether you put a homunculus in the unit, a succubus in the unit, or cheap and cheerful Archon, you want to be putting some form of independent character in that unit. A succubus is quite a good choice really. Because you can give her an AP2 weapon. She can hide inside the unit, so her not having a save is would be quite handy really. So maybe a succubus with the glaive and a web bay portal. The reason why I say web bay portal is because if you've got a big unit of them, you can just deep strike them wherever you want. They don't scatter, right in the heart of the thick of the action on turn 2 onwards. They're going to get shot at, because they're going to deep strike and then run, so to disperse. They're going to get shot at. There's nothing you can do about that. But they are toughness 5, 3 wounds, and they've all got feel no pain. So things are going to have to be strength 10 to kill them outright. There's very few things that are blast weapons strength 10, unless you're playing obviously apocalypse games, things like that. You will lose wounds, you will lose models, but whatever's left is just going to butcher whatever they get into combat with. The other way of using them is obviously put them in raiders. You can get 4 in a raider with an independent character, because obviously the class is bulky, so they take up two spaces. Maybe 2. 4 in a raider with a maybe cheap and cheerful Archon. Just a stock Archon or a homunculus, to increase the turn for their power from pain maybe. I myself run them as a webway bomb, but I have recently bought a Forge World Tantalus, which I think that's got a transport capacity of I think I read up it. I think it was 16 models. So how I'm going to run them is have 7 grotesques, which will take up 14 spaces in that capacity. So I can put 2 more models in that unit. I was intended on putting obviously an Archon, a tooled up Archon, and then it was either going to be a homunculus or a succubus. Depending on how I feel, or if I could take allies, put a Farseer in there and hope for invisibility, because that would just make that unit ridiculous. Competitive wise, obviously that is going to be it's a lot of points. They are very pricey to have, to max out the squad, but they just devastate whatever they want. I really like them. The Games Workshop models are really nice. I do like the Games Workshop models, even though I've made my own. The only thing I don't like about the Games Workshop models is they're all the same pose, just different. I think you can either have a liquefy gun in one hand or a sword in the other hand, or a sword in the same hand. Just swap out that weapon. That is it. I think they've all got the same helmet. They've all got the same claw. They're all in the same pose. If they had that model, but they had it in a plastic kit, and you're able to pose it how you wanted to, I think that'd be really nice. But yeah, I've done mine. I've basically ended up with, a Talus or a Cronus engine out of it as well, because it's from that kit. So all the bits I didn't use, basically that's what I armed the Tantalus or the Talus, sorry, or the Cronus engine with. So yeah, I think that is literally all my elites done. If you've liked what you've seen, like and subscribe. It really does help the channel out. It helps me out a lot. If you've got any comments, by all means put them. Feel free to put comments on what you've used, how you've used them, if they've worked out well, if they haven't worked out well. The next lot of videos I'll be doing will be fast attack. I will probably be splitting that video off into 2 parts as well, because there are 6 fast attack choices. Yeah, please like and subscribe, it really helps a lot, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.